All right, welcome. This is Savvy Trader. What I'm going to go over right now is sector mastery. So I'm going to go over what I do on the weekends and pre-market and during market hours on how I use the sectors in my analysis to find some of the best stocks in the market. So let's get into it. All right, so what are we going to cover? We're going to start with sector analysis, go over structure, how to identify a trend, what time frames I utilize, and what options are best for each for me. Yours might be different. How to determine a change in sector rotation, how to choose the best of the best in the chosen sectors, industry leaders and laggers. So we'll go from index sector and break that down into some of the industries and then find our stocks. We'll go through a weekend walkthrough. I'll go through TC2000 and also a little bit of TOS, and then a morning walkthrough of what I do when we are in live trading, and then we'll bring it all together. All right, so let's quickly go over why I use sector analysis and where it might help you. Biggest takeaway, it gives me an edge. I trade relative strength, relative weakness with the SPY, QQQ, IWM, and diamonds. So I use sector analysis once I determine what index is the outperformer. Then I also want to look for sectors that are outperforming other sectors in that index, and then industries that will rise to the top that are outperforming other industries inside the sector, and that'll point me to a handful of stocks that tend to be kind of the best of the best to trade. So sector analysis is going to helps me identify the trends. It also gives me risk diversification. So instead of, let's say, technologies rallying, and then we see healthcare XLV starting to return to trend and get bullish, where then I also want to participate in the trend in XLV while I'm still in a trend for XLK. And then it gives me a little bit of macroeconomic insight. If multiple sectors are trending together, that just gives me a greater advantage, gives me more conviction that if we're in a bullish rally, that the rally is going to continue when I have multiple sectors moving up at the same time in a bullish manner. Also for earning analysis, it helps me pick stocks that have a tendency to, that are correlated, that move together. Like we're going into a phase right now where the banks are reporting XLF. XLF has been very strong, but now we start to see a little bit of rollover in the short term. Not to say that it's bearish, but we might go into a bullish trend currently into where we'd be neutral, a neutral strategy where we will have to shift the way that we trade any other financials. Also, and this is probably the biggest thing, is relative strength analysis, where we're trying to pick, the outperformers, the best of the best, the strongest and the weakest sectors to pinpoint where opportunities might be, and then market sentiment. That kind of goes back to, is it a broad-based rally with all sectors moving up, or is it something where we only see one or two sectors that are kind of pulling the market into a bullish trend? So that's all important. Next, I want to talk about structure, and probably structure is probably one of the biggest key elements. And when I talk about structure, what I'm saying is are we bullish? Are we bearish? Are we neutral? That's what it comes down to. So the first thing in structure, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to, match my selections of stocks that are situated in the indexes that are the strongest in the sectors that are strongest. So First, I'm going to identify any support and resistance levels. I'm going to do that in the chart for you today and show you how I do it. I'm going to show you what indicators I use to determine if I am in trend. You know, if I'm in uptrend, downtrend, if I'm sideways. I'm going to look for chart patterns. One of my favorites is flags, bull flags, bear flags. It's one of my favorite. Double bottoms. I also use Darvis. Swing highs, swing lows. This kind of is combined with support and resistance levels, previous high, previous lows. Looking for breakouts and breakdowns. Price action analysis. So I'm going to try to bring everything together where if I'm bullish, I want to, and the stock is pulling back, I want it to form a low, and then I would like to see a higher low, and then a breakout from that higher low to give me, one, a trigger, two, confirmation that we're not going to continuously go down, that we actually have a higher probability of going back to the upside. And any candlestick patterns. Bullish and bearish engulfing, bull and bear kickers, these are gap ups. These are candlestick patterns that I look for that are very powerful. Okay, let's just go over this chart real quick, and this is basically, you know, what I use on my charts to quickly identify a trend. It's not identifying a specific entry or exit point. It's just saying, hey, I'm in a bullish trend, neutral trend, or bearish. So, bullish trend, when the price is above the 34 EMA, you'll see three lines there. The green line is going to be the high of the 34. The blue is the close of the 34. And the red is the low of the 34. So you combine all three and it makes a channel, pretty much like a Keltner channel. So on a bullish trend, price is above the 34 high. A neutral trend, price has entered and closed inside, below the high and above the low. So it's in the channel, now it's neutral. And finally, the bearish trend is when price is below the 34 EMA low. So this is all based off of a 34 EMA. So like I said, you know, it's easier for me, observation-wise, to be able to quickly look at a chart and say, yep, bullish, I want to be long in this stock. Neutral, I could go long or short on this stock based on what the indexes might be doing. And what time frame I'm trading, or bearish. You know, I only want to be short in these in a position in this stock. So that's kind of how I identify a trend real quick, and I'll show you that in Thinkorswim and also again in TC2000. Okay, just to go over the 34 wave trend analysis real quick, you know, I just want to make the point just to develop your own style. If you're using like a moving average crossover, or if you're using, you know, supply demand zones, whatever it may be, you know, just use whatever you use for your trend analysis to say, hey, I'm bullish or bearish. I'm just showing you what I use for my sector sorting. So, you know, it's not written in stone. Just be flexible and use what you feel comfortable using. I've used this for a couple of years and it works really well. And it's really simple, the way that I utilize it in my scanner with TC2000. Like I said, it's the 34 period moving average. It's the EMA, and it's the high, the low, and the close of the 34 making up the wave. And it just helps me identify the trend really quick. All right, so the time frames that I utilize and what options I use for each. Basically, my first focus is always on the longer term charts. For most of my trading, I lean on the daily chart, the daily time frame. These are longer term trends, and you know, I base my swing trades off these, and I'll use anything from 14 to 28 days to expiration options. Sometimes I'll go out a little bit longer, for that's usually what I will do. My next time frame is going to be an hourly time frame. I use this for support and resistance. It helps me get into entries into the daily to confirm when a bottom is put in. And for this time frame, I utilize 1 to 3 day trades. And then on the 5-minute time frame, that's my day trade time frame specifically. And I'm trading 0 DTE to 1 DTE options for those. But understand that I do use multiple time frame analysis, and I will start with the daily and then I'll drill down to the 5-minute. I will use the hourly chart for support resistance to kind of refine if my 5-minute assessment is correct. All right, determine a change in sector rotation. Pretty much for sector rotation, what I do is I use TC2000, and what I utilize is a percent change over the week, and I'll look at it every weekend to see which sectors rotate to the top, which ones go to the bottom, and then I'll drill down into a 2-week time frame and see which ones have held gains or held their losses through the following previous week, and then I'll go out once more to the month, 4 weeks out. And this all helps me kind of drill down which ones are getting stronger or weaker. So I'll use the percent gain or loss for the price movements. I'll still use my trend analysis with the wave. I'll mark key levels off of the daily and weekly charts and hourly charts. Look for the price patterns, double bottoms, double tops, higher lows. Also, I'll look at the volume, see if volume's coming in or going out of some of these sectors. Always looking for a new high or new low for breakouts or breakdowns. And the price momentum, and I'll use like the 8, 13, 21. If all my EMAs are stacked, well then I know I got bullish momentum to the upside. Okay, real quick, I'll just show you what my, this is my one of my scan templates in TC2000, just to kind of go over some things that I look at. TC2000 is extremely fast, so that's I like to use it. So basically, I'm looking at the price and moving averages. That's number 1. Number 2, I'm looking at volume analysis. Number 3, the change since open and the change from the overnight. Number 4 is my daily wave analysis. Number 5 is hourly wave analysis. Number 6 is 5-minute wave analysis. And then I have a buy zone between the 5 EMA and the 34. That's why I try to make my entries. And then a weekly percentage change is number 8. Number 9 is 2 weeks. Number 10 is monthly percent change. And then number 11 is the distance from the 200 SMA. I use this on my longer term buys, and also to sell premium if I find something around the 200 SMA. Okay, in my sector sorting, you know, how do I choose some of the best sectors? So, I mean, you can look at many things. You can look in TALS. I use TC2000. You can use bar chart, FinViz, KoiFin. There's many web-based and platform-based software that you can use to find, you know, percentage gains and loss in the sectors. That's basically what I do. And then I create a watch list of my sectors. There's 11. I use 9. I don't use real estate utilities. They tend not to move very much. And then I set criteria, which for me is like the 34 wave and percentage gainers. I look at those to see which ones are the most bullish and which ones are moving up the greatest over the week, 2 weeks, and month. And then the wave analysis is always showing me the trend. If I have stacked EMAs, then I know that I have momentum also on my side. And the relative strength benchmark I'll use is the SPY QQQ Diamonds and IWM. in my index sector stock assessment, I will also look at industries, which is basically just a, a more refined approach to breaking down your move from the sectors into the stocks themselves. So there are more specific groups of companies that operate. They're within the sector, and they share similar products or services, just to help you kind of break down that sector stock relationship. I'll show you that in TC2000. It's just a little bit more granular focus on a group of companies. Okay, now we get into the fun stuff. I'll get into how I do my weekly roundup with TC2000. I'll start with that, then we'll jump into Thinkorswim. Okay, we're in TC2000 now, so I'm just going to go from top to bottom, and I start my assessment on the indexes. So first, what I'm going to look for is I always zoom out. I'll zoom out to the weekly chart, identify anything, any supportive resistance I might be concerned with. I know we had a breakout above this level previously, so we did make a new high and we pulled back. I can see that the trend, it got choppy in this area. So real quick, what I'll do is I look at the trend by itself, but if I get in an area where it starts to get chopped up, what I'll do is I'll add, I'll show the 50 SMA. You can see the blue line right here is the 50. So whenever the 50 SMA, I'm above the 200 here, the yellow line. So above the 200, I'm going to be bullish, and this is the same for any stock, any sector, any index. So above the 200, I'm going to be bullish as long as price is above the 34. So with the SMA 50 underneath the 34, I can be bullish. But once price gets below this and I see my 34 breaking down, this area right here is all the area where I'm in a neutral position. So all this price action gets me neutral. And you can see that we had some downside moves, but these downside moves are short-lived, and then we have a rally back up and another failure in support at the 200. So if you ask, hey, when do you get bullish on a situation like this? Well, then I get bullish once I see price at an area like right here where the wave is pointing up. You can see that the wave is going in an upwards trajectory. We're supported by the 200, and the wave gets above the right here, gets above the wave. So at that point, this is when I can start to get, my bullish thesis going, is right in this area right here. And if I draw a trend line or algo line right here, you can see it kind of coincides with the algo break. So right here is where I could look for prices to get bullish, and I could start getting some exposure to it. And of course, as we break above this key level over here, then you could see that price continued to go up. So I'll start my thesis on the indexes and just with the trend, and I'll just go through the indexes and I'll say, well, which index do I like the price action? And I'll just look at the price action, QQQs, SPY. Next is the diamonds. We're consolidating on the diamonds also. And then IWM. IWM certainly looks like it's the weakest, so I take that in consideration. I'll start with the weekly sort, and the Qs are the strongest. Last week, whoever was the strongest was the SPY. So you had the SPY was the strongest 2 weeks ago, and the weakest was IWM. Currently this week, IWM is the only one that came up red, down 0.33%. Overall in the month, you can see that IWM itself, that we have not gotten anything that anything that is positive here on IWM. IWM's just been purely the weakest. So on a monthly basis, do I have any rotation going into anything? So the Qs were the strongest a month ago. 2 weeks ago, they pulled back, but still they were above IWM. And then this past week, they're regaining the strength. And I'll just analyze between the change for the month and where current price is. And there's some other things that we can use to help with this. If you don't have TC2000, let me just bring this over real quick. And this is COIFIN. So you can look at COIFIN for, let's say, for a month, and you can look at the sectors here, and you can see which sectors are strongest to the weakest. This is free. You don't have to pay for it. This is something else that I do like, and I do use it on occasion in my assessment. It'll go from one day, you can see the daily, you can see the weekly, but it doesn't do 2 weeks. It jumps from 1 week to a month, which is not a deal killer. If you're looking for something free, this is something I would certainly look at using. But to get back into TC2000, so when I look at this, I go, well, if I'm going to trade anything, SPY, I'm going to trade the Qs. The top of my list is certainly going to become the Qs. The Qs are the ones that look similar to the SPY, but I give a little heads up to the Qs. Of course, it's not a huge difference, and because it doesn't stand out purely as, hey, this chart is just so much better than SPY, it's so much better than the diamonds. It's certainly better than IWM. IWM would be something I would stay away from, and I would be inclined to trade Qs, SPYs, or diamonds. If you don't have a standout, well, then what you want to do is I'll jump into my ETFs. I'll do the same thing with the ETFs. I'll look for the change for the whole month. We can start there. And pharmaceuticals for the month were the strongest. And then if we look at next comes XLC, and then XME, which is metals and mining, and I'll sort back over to SMH on the weekly change, and I'll start looking through my list and see if there's anything that's retained its strength that looks very bullish, and I can see that XLC's been very strong. That would be one that I would be interested in trading. And then what I'll also do is I'll come into my editor. I'll look for bullish on the daily, bullish on the hourly, price above the 200. And then I'll also look and have a volume sort above 750,000, price greater than 10. And I will sort from there just to show me the best of the best that's out there for the current sort. And SMH is interesting. XLK is definitely interesting. You can see it here. It's near a breakout. Sorry about that. It's near a breakout, so it would be something that I would consider. XLC looks excellent. Look like it's near a breakout also. XLV, it's regaining its strength and it's moving higher. And also XLP. XLP looks okay, but you can see that XLP is far off the highs. Also, what I'll use in my assessment is I will go into a moving average ribbon, and all this is it's the 5, the 8, the 21, the 34, and the 50, 100, 200. And this is all my moving averages as basically as a ribbon. And the dotted line will be the 34, is price above the 34. And I'll use this to help gauge how we're looking as far as structure that I talked about before. And this is what you want to see. You want to see the 200 above the 100, above the 50, above the 34, above the 21, above the 8, above the 5. Whenever structures like this and you have stacked EMAs, it's simple as that. You know you have bullish structure. That's something that's very tradable that you want to keep your eye on. So SMH is something definitely, and with this week's gain of 4.26%, that's something I'm definitely interested in. Then comes XLK. So we're pretty much similar. If you look at the two charts, you can see the similar price action. SMH is the semiconductor ETF. XLK is the sector in technology. And then also we can look at XLC. And if I was looking at these charts, I would say XLC was probably be a little bit more exciting to me for the reason that I like the structure better. Why do I like the structure? If you look at the two charts, that we have a little bit of overhead resistance here, where with XLC we don't. We had a breakout to a new high, and then we pulled back, but this is a very strong chart. So I'd be looking at XLC and also XLV. XLV really looks nice also. This is very similar. You do have the 200 here, and the 100's not stacked, but it's not far from it. I would imagine if we had another 3 or 4 days of bullish price action in XLV, you're going to see the 100 SMA cross above the 200, but this wouldn't be a deal killer. This is a very nice daily setup right here. And if you look back and we jump into a weekly chart, you can see the price action here. We're nearing highs here. 1, 2, 3 touches. This would be 4 touch. Is it going to be the fourth one, the charm? It's going to send us to higher prices. And then finally, we'll look at XLP. What I don't like about XLP is you can see that the moving averages aren't stacked on top of each other. Shows me that momentum isn't as strong as it is in XLC and XLK. And XLC would be the one that I'd be most interested in right now. So what happens with TC2000, and I've looked at the charts, over here, whenever I change my sort from communication to healthcare, you notice that the stocks that make up that sector will populate over here. So this is all XLC, and what I'll do is the same thing all over again. I'm going to look for price above the 200. I'm also going to look for a bullish trend here on the daily and on the hourly. Then I'm going to make sure that I have my volume sort, and I do this all the time. This is basically how I sort. I'm going to sort from volume above 750,000, price above 10, and then I'm going to look at the stocks that come up on top. And this is the best stocks that are coming up to the very top. If I want to sort them by change percentage for the week, I can. And what comes up on top is Meta. Then comes Google, and then comes Google Class A and Googs. So GGO, GL is what I normally trade. But you can see you got Meta, you got Google, and then we got Netflix. If I had to choose between these three, it would definitely be Google. Google looks the strongest. Moving averages stacked, nice even. You get nice symmetrical pattern as far as price goes, moving to new highs. Just zoom out to a weekly chart and see if you have any areas that to be concerned with. You do have a high over here that you want to make sure that you make note of. So what I'll do is I'll start coming in here and I'll start looking at previous highs and lows. So I noticed that previous highs and lows here. So I want to mark those. And I'm just going to, I'll watch from here and see. This is where I could expect to have some resistance. Do I definitely know it's going to be resistance? I don't have a clue. I also want to be concerned with this area right here. This is an area I want to hold right here. And the reason for that is it was a previous high, and then it retraced and rebounded. And this big bullish candle, we've held all the gains from it, and we're continuing higher. I do like that. If you look at the volume from last Friday, 112, and I do like that. So that's one that I would be very interested in. If I get down into The industry indexes, I can do the same thing with it and see if there's anything that's going to rise to the top, price above the 200. I want to make sure I'm bullish on the daily, bullish on the hourly. I also want to make sure that I have volume and my volume standards in there, and then we're all set. So these are the industry indexes that come up that were the best for the week. Software infrastructure, software application, information technology. You can see all these in the case. These are all XLK stocks. So if I'm looking for, either or some other stocks that might rise to the top, then I can sort these by change by the week, and these will give me other opportunities. PANW, CRRW, NTNX, DBX, FTNT, big open gap on FTNT right here, Adobe. So for the ones that come to the top immediately for me, I stick with XLC. So that's basically how I do my sort. I go from my index to my sector, and then I'm looking for whatever stands out, to me. And like when we first started doing our sort, we noticed that, with the sectors, the SPY and the Q's the strongest, XLK's weighted heavier in the X and the QQQ, and then the SPY. So you can see that's probably made the difference in the move up between the two. And when we look at our sectors, from the best sectors to the worst sectors, the index ETFs, when we start drilling down into the ones that are the best of the best, we can see clearly that XLC's been the one, but I wouldn't discount XLV. There'd be some stocks in XLV that I'd be interested in also. That sector was also moving pretty good. LLY being one, GILD doing very, very well. ABT, Abbott, looks like it's almost had a double top right here. Got to get above and close above 114.61 to get on my radar. VSX, we looked at this the other day as a breakout above 58.34. That's a nice one too. So you can see there's quite a few in this sector also that are well worth looking at. Bull flag right here. We held all those gains right there, and now we're going to look for a breakout above 311. So if I was trading any of these right now, some to put on my radar would be LLY. I would like that, and Meta would be another one. So that's basically what I do over the weekend. I look at my sectors, I make reference to which ones I like. I like XLK, I like XLC. They both look good for me. I always start with the daily chart and drill down through my daily chart and see which ones that look like they are the best. And like I said, I use my edit function, and I'm looking for something that's bullish on the daily and bullish on the hourly, and then my volume and my price. And then once I do that, I'm pretty much, I'm done. The cream's going to rise to the top, and this is going to be my opportunities. I'm going to trade XLC, I'm going to trade XLV, I'm going to trade XLP, SMH, and XLK. What's going to be the best of the bunch? Best of the bunch is going to be XLC for me, and XLV. XLP, not so excited. I like the consolidation here, but remember what I said before. Structure is going to dictate how I'm going to trade, and these are not stacked EMAs. But what I could do with something like XLP, I can look at stocks in the XLP like Costco. Are any of these going to give me an opportunity to maybe sell some premium? Why would I look at these to sell premium? Well, because when I look at XLP itself, I can say, well, if I can sell some premium below the 200 SMA, well, then that would give me an opportunity, and it's a high probability that these are going to continue to move to the top that maybe some of these stocks in here might be a consideration. So here you have, you got Tyson Foods and Coca-Cola. And out of, the price structure here, looking at the last high to the last low, is there an opportunity here? And for me, 50% right here, when I draw a Fibonacci line in 61.8, then I'll get rid of my Fibonacci. Can I sell some premium here? Here's the 34. If we want to look at on a trend, can I sell some premium down here on this breakout above this level and hold? And we are, we're above the 200. I expect the 200 hold. There might be a possibility. So structure is going to dictate the strategy I'm going to take. So like I said, that's pretty much how I do my sector sort on the weekends. It only takes, we're into it for 20 minutes right now, and I'm pretty much done. I know what I'm going to focus on for the coming week. So kind of hope that helps you out a little bit, in seeing how I look for the ones that are kind of rising to the top. The biggest nuance is whenever you're dealing with your changes for the month and changes for the week, I basically look at ones that have moved the most from the monthly. Are there any of these that have some continuity? And continuity for me would be, do we have ones that are rising to the top? So you can see that for the month, XLK was only 0.35. It had a pullback here, but now it's gotten close to the highest for the week. And then you can see the rotation from XLP was 0.73, 1.3, 1.4. So it was low, and then it moved up to 1.3, and it's pretty much held those gains right there. So I'm looking for ones that are going from low to high, if that makes sense, and trying to determine ones that are kind of coming off a bottom, found support on the 34, and now starting to get bullish. So that's pretty much it for my weekly sort. Hope that helps you out a little bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to jump into TC 2000 into my Thinkorswim real quick. Okay, let's finish up right now in Thinkorswim. So what I'm going to do in Thinkorswim is I'm just going to review how I sort through Thinkorswim on a daily and 5-minute basis. So like I said before, my focus was basically the 34 wave for my trend. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to maximize the sell here, just so you can kind of see where I'm coming from. So this is XLC, and the bottom part of this indicator is basically the trend. That's the 34, and then momentum is the 813.21 moving averages. So when the moving averages are stacked, well, then that shows that we have momentum to the upside. So when you're combining the two indicators together, you get a bullish trend and bullish momentum when we're looking at XLC. But what I want to show you here is I use the flexible grid, and by using the flexible grid, I can look at the top 10 stocks in the XLC. It's just another way that I can sort through the list on the weekends and on a daily basis. So if you look here, you can see XLC, it's a bullish trend and it's bullish momentum. And because I have the same indicator on each chart, I can jump from chart to chart and I can see XLC has strength in Meta, Google, Netflix, TMUS. CMCSA is in a neutral trend. VZ, EA, neutral trend, bearish trend in Charter, T-Mobile, neutral in Disney, and TTWO is bullish. So I can just look and see I have green, 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 double green, and out of all 10, I have, 6.5, 6.5 that look good, half being the sideways trend and momentum still being bullish. I can also create, and I've created a watch list column with the 34. If price is above the 34, this is going to be a green wave. If it's sideways, it's just going to be SW that's sideways. And I can easily sort everything in XLC, and I made my watch list similar to my flexible grid. And if you're going to ask, why do I have the specific symbols like this? This goes back into something that I use in the spider sort here in spider SPDRS. If I go to XLC, for example, and pull up communication services and look at the holdings, then I'm going to see which one has weight. Meta has 24%, Google has 12.5%, Netflix 4.65%, T-Musk, Comcast, and this is all based upon your capitalization. So this changes on a weekly basis, and I just take those numbers and I just pin them into my flexible grid here, and I can easily look at which ones are strongest, and I can see that Meta is a strong stock, so that would be like on the top of my list as far as stocks to look at, as we could see in TC2000. Just a different way of doing it. Also, I can come over here and I can sort these by anything. Here's my stacked EMAs. So if I know that my EMAs are stacked green, and the EMAs that are stacked in this one are the 8, 21, 34, 55, and 89. They're all fib numbers. But the point is that when you have stacked EMAs, this shows momentum to the upside. It's strong because the short term and the midterms are all stacked upon each other in a orderly fashion. And here's the wave on an hourly basis and on a 5-minute. So what I'm looking for is I'm looking for the most green, basically. And the most green that I see here are going to be the three stocks, the sector itself, XLC, then comes Meta, and then I have Google, and then Netflix, and also TTWO. Now, if it's got a sideways trend on the hourly, all this means to me is that, hey, I can look at it on a day where the SPY is weak. I might look at these to see if there's an entry at a decent level on an hourly pullback, that this wave is going to end up going back into from a sideways into something that's bullish. What I don't want to do is I'm not going to get into a stock when the hourly is bearish on something that's long. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to wait until these go from neutral back into green to have some kind of continuity with it. So that's just a quick way of the way that I sort. Also, I have a score here that is based on some of the same parameters and stuff. It's just another way to add value to it. This is basically positive momentum on a histogram for MACD, and also above the moving averages. It kind of combines a lot of factors into one, and it's another way that I can sort through these really quickly. But a max score 10, when I'm looking at these, XLC, Meta, Google, these all meet the criteria, and then I can look over here at the earnings date to see if I have any earnings coming up. Of course, we got 13 days for Meta, we got 11 days for Google, so these earnings are starting to come up pretty soon. But what I will do is, for all my sectors, then I make up a sector chart for every one of them, and I make them up for 2 time frames. I'll make one up for the 5-minute time frame, and then I'll also make one up for the 5-minute time frame. And the 5-minute time frame is the one that I'm going to go to intraday. So whenever the market opens in the morning, I'm going to go to XLC, and I'm going to make sure that XLC is trading above the wave, that it's moving to the upside. Same thing with Meta. And you can see here that as of the close on Friday, that we got into a sideways trend with XLC where it was above the 34 wave. Now it's below. Same thing here with Meta, same thing with Google, Netflix. It went actually bearish. And I don't have anything that's showing any green right now, but this will all change on Monday if we have some positive momentum to the upside. So this is kind of how I do it in Thinkorswim, that I have everything built on a flexible grid on a 5-minute basis and also on a daily basis. And I go back and I look at these just to give you an idea of what might be moving for the day. What can I get into with alignment with the sector being green? Are these going to stay green or are they going to pull back? So I reflect back on the 5-minute chart. So that's pretty much how I do it. And in my sorting for my Thinkorswim, I use the flexible grid. So I hope that helps, and I'll finish up the video with some closing statements, and I wish everybody well. Thanks. All right, thanks for staying with me through the whole presentation. Any questions, just catch me in the Discord. Savvy Trader. Have a good weekend.